Oh, well, hello, I want to bring you for season 1 for my bit of imagination. And it's time for Dual Monsters Back from the Shadows. Season 1, Episode 4. From this point onward, basically, for this episode, I'm going to do the first 10 duels out of this. Well, it's going to consist of 32 duelists, because it's going to be one side of a two-sided bracket, in order to make a total of 64 duelists. The last 3 will actually be a lightning round duel of 3 duelists, all competing in one duel. But that's going to be considered a lightning round duel. But that's like the final one of that side. So anyways, now it's actually starting the freaking episode. But not without refreshments. Okay, now I'm ready. Basically, after already all of the crazy bullshit of the last few days, the qualifiers basically the first half of the qualifier rounds, which is 32 duelists, and basically the second half will be another 32 duelists, so another, basically a second lightning round. But that will be the last one. A second lightning round duel. That's basically how the lightning round duels work. Instead of 1 against 1, it's 3 people. Technically, since there's only 8 people in the dorm, there will be 2 others, because it's 1 duel, 2 duel, 3 duel, 4 duel, Okay, yeah. Now it's 10 duels. The first 10 duels will be covered on this. So basically, there's like this AP system. It's like, well, Naruto Uzumaki and some people who amplify for this. Are they even actually being serious? Am I supposed to believe that this guy's name is actually the Riddler? Yes, that's right. The Riddler. Basically, Naruto has to come up to the big ol' one side of the field and basically the Riddler basically he goes to the other side. I'm thinking of doing basically like the first episode whenever Yugi was versing Kaiba. Like, I think they had a big panel thing for them to, like, you know, two things like separate from each other, and then there was like the panel below where it had like all the monsters and the spell cards and the trap cards. Basically, since they're going to be dueling each other, they have to state their name and what decks they're going to be using. Naruto's basically like, Naruto Uzumaki. Vast Magica deck. And the Riddler's just like, the Riddler. And my riddle deck. Basically, now they have to decide who to go first. And the Riddler's like, riddle me this, my opponent. Who should go first? I mean, obviously it's not me. You seem so assured of yourself. And Naruto's like, I'm not so sure if that's to insult me or to compliment me, but, okay. Wait, oh, shit. Damn it. I basically said yes. Fuck. I have to go first. That's basically Naruto's mindset. And Bakura's just there like, Naruto, you idiot, you don't have to. And basically, he's just like, well, if there are two things I've learned from life, it's that to not hate the player, but to hate the game. However, in something like this, I don't think it's going to help either of us. Nor is it Riddler. I'll place 2 face-down cards and then the monster, Dormant Skull, in defense mode. Basically, Dormant Skull having 320 attack and defense. Relatively tame monster that Naruto's starting out with. And basically Riddler's like, riddle me this. Since you've started out with that skull of yours, I guess you're trying to go with a big brain. How about I sit 1 face down, and then I land at the monster, Vast Quadruped. And they basically, Vast Quadruped's like a freaking quadrupedal, like, chimera lizard. And, well, its attack and defense aren't that much higher than, Naruto's monster. But that's the beauty of things. Ah, yes. You end your turn. Then I reveal one of my face downs to be the spell Formal Damnation. Now, I believe you see what happens here. Any monster affected by Formal Damnation will gain its own sort of hell-like form. But for this skull monster, it gains a whole new power entirely. I guess you can see it for yourself. Vast Reaper Skeleton Lord. And he'll be in attack mode. And it's said that any monster put in attack mode right after being affected by this card will automatically attack. And so I think since you don't have much to offer, that this will be a surefire way to victory. Basically, freaking monsters' hands spin like drills, like sword drills, and basically go to intertwine and basically just smash in. Basically, I was like, meow. And Riddler's like, well then, riddle me this. As I lay this card down, a spell card. Pot of Greed. I draw 2 cards. And I lay 2 face downs. And I end my turn. And Naruto's like, very well then. Fast Skeletal Warrior could use a friend. So, I'll summon a good old friend of mine, Fast Magician of Chaos, to the field. But using one of his effects allows me to summon another Vast Magician monster. Well, Vast Magician archetype monster, because they're archetypes, basically. So, Vast Magician archetype monster. And that would be and the Riddler would be like, and that would be like that one would just happen to be. And Naruto's like, shh, with your impatience. Death will come swiftly and soon enough. And the Riddler just looks at him like, wait, what? What did you just fucking say? And Naruto's like, you know what I just fucking said. And just like, that monster being Vast Magician Girl, and, well, basically, one of her effects allows me to use Vast Magician of Chaos's effect again. Bring out Vast Mage. And, well, Vast Mage's effect allows me to bring out any spell card I desire from my already existing hand. And that would mean polymorphization. And so now you see him, now you do. Here he is, Vast Magician. Alongside my skeletal friend here. And one of the effects of my Indeed skeletal friend is that if a certain monster is on the same side as it, and it is summoned on the same turn, well, more or less special summoned, around the same time, they can be allowed to attack both. Basically meaning that both of them will attack at the same time. And then basically, right before that can happen, the Riddler just is like, I summon Riddler Dragon in defense mode. Basically right in front of that. And basically, Riddle Dragon's effect, well, one of its effects, allows it to negate at least all of the attack points of one of those monsters. And, well, Riddler goes for the mistake of negating the skeletal guy's attack, not Fast Magician's. And so the next turn, Fast Magician breaks through the Riddle Dragon and hits straight through him, hitting Riddler's basic attack, basically life points, directly. And Riddler's now realizing that whatever he does, Naruto is on his ass. Now that Fast Magician is out on the field. And then, since basically now it's Naruto's turn, he's like, oh, and by the way, I hope you're not afraid, because I summoned up the trap card, Corpse Grave. And basically Riddler's like, fuck. Because basically now, whatever monster he summons, their attack and defense will be halved. If they are not also a vast monster. Which his deck is not full of vast monsters, so their attack and defense are going to be halved. So, to at least ensure that he has some ability to survive, basically on this turn, what the Riddler has to do, basically what he decides to do is, in order to save himself, he decides to pull a spell card, Pot of Greed. And then another spell card, Spell Enhancer. basically allowing him to summon one more card than Pot of Greed would allow him to. So 3 cards to his hand. And why is this important? Because these 3 next cards are all monster cards. And they are Mecha Arm of X, Mecha Torso of Y, and Mecha Arm of Z. And basically, by sacrificing Spell Enhancer after summoning all 3 of these monsters, he is able to access another spell card from within his deck. And that being, well, oh, would you look at that? Polymerization. Fusing all 3 of these, basically polymerization all of these 3, basically. Super Mecha of X, Y, and Z. But Naruto just starts smiling and then laughing at this man. Because it's in attack mode. Not in defense, but in attack mode. Sure, the attack and defense are both freaking ridiculously high, but it's in attack mode in which he summoned this thing, trying to one-hit KO Naruto. But that's the one mistake he made. Because Naruto is basically just like, see this card I have here? The spell card, Partial Judgment. Basically, what Partial Judgment does is it can be equipped to basically any freaking monster that he has. And basically, if whatever monster this guy has, as in the Riddler, doesn't destroy that monster within the same next turn, he's basically fucked, because his monster will be destroyed. And 10 times the amount of, well, basically damage that it took will be done to his life points right after. Yeah, so Partial Judgment is not something to be trifled with, because Naruto just used it to F with this man. And why is it so basically important that basically he be smiling while it's in attack mode? Well, that's because that part of the spell only activates if it's summoned in attack mode. Not if it's in defense. If it's in defense, it will not be affected by the spell. But seeing as it was summoned in attack mode, Naruto, seeing as he had Partial Judgment in his hand at the time, decided to ruin this man's whole career. The Riddler. After all, these are the qualifying rounds. And so Naruto just is like, come on, attack, or get freaking destroyed. And so basically this mecha of X, Y, and Z just goes for the kill shot. But then Naruto also activates one of the effects of Vast Magician. And it's basically sort of like a cavalry thing, where several monster cards can be summoned at a time if they basically have Vast in the name. So basically, Vast Magician of Chaos, Vast Magician Girl, and Vast Mage are all summoned alongside Vast Magician, increasing the attack power of Vast Magician, and then having it attack the Super Mecha of X, Y, and Z. And it turns out the amped attack of Vast Magician is stronger than the mech's attack. Basically, since you didn't destroy it in that turn, yeah, basically the Riddler's fucked. Naruto wins. The Riddler is disqualified. And so basically, the next duel to be had, right as they're walking by each other, they just high five, and Bokuro's like, "Aw, you two are just sweet. Like the best couple ever." And Naruto is just like, "Damn it, Bokuro." If only Izuku could see you and hear you too. You would agree with me? Wholeheartedly? Because, Izuku's opponent, basically, a yellow ring flies around to the other side of, the battle stage. And, Izuku's like, "A yellow ring?" And then you just hear, "By the power of Sinestra's might." And just like, boom. And just like, some guy just comes up. And he's wearing the yellow ring. This dude, apparently on the board it says Sinestro. So this will be Izuku versus Sinestro. And it shows up on the board that Izuku has a champion dragon deck. Basically, apparently they don't need to state the name of their deck anymore because it just shows it up on the board. I guess whoever is hosting this feels that it'd be less tedious that way. And apparently the name of the deck of this Sinestro person is the Might of Fear deck. Yes, Might of Fear. And so basically, Izuku's like, fuck, it's one of these types. Well, I guess, even though I know this is probably a bad move on my part, I'll let you go first, buddy. And Sinestro is all too eagerly to oblige. Just like, Ah, yes. You are aware of your imminent doom, and so you decide to give up prematurely, though in your own weird way. I can respect that. The fear has already taken hold of you. Therefore, I... summon the jaws of fear in attack mode, and then 2 face downs. And then Izuku basically calling this guy's bluff, being like, okay then, I summon Champion Dragon Fuego, and then 2 face downs as well. But, Izuku's like, nah, I'm gonna reveal one of them right away. And this is basically spell support gear. The spell support gear. And what that does is basically forces you to reveal one of your cards. And basically allow control of it to your opponent. So basically now Izuku has control of one of Sinestro's cards. And that one being... And the moment Izuku sees this, he's like, oh, you are planning on doing some big ball shit. Not today, my friend. Basically the monster Baba Yaga the Boogeyman. And, well, this shit is not a tiny dude. It's actually a pretty powerful monster compared to the one he opened up with. And basically Sinestro just uses his other card that he had face down. Basically, all-time shackles to get, Baba Yaga Boogeyman back. However, the sad part about that is, well, Fuego attack that spell and basically destroys it, meaning that he can't get control of it back. So yeah, Izuku just robbed him of a card. Oh, and I'm not ending my turn. Baba Yaga Boogeyman? How about you and Fuego attack that jaw-like thing that Sinestro has together? Oh, I think I have something in my hand. Oops, looks like I dropped it. And he dropped it on purpose. Polymerization. Polymerizing Baba Yaga Boogeyman and, Champion Dragon Fuego to create Boogeyman Fuego. And basically, whenever Sinestro sees Boogeyman Fuego, Champion Dragon Boogeyman Fuego, basically the victorious grin that Izuku has. Now Sinestro's the one in fear. Because basically, with nothing to help him, that's until he basically looks in his hand and he finds something he might like. Like Desolate Dragon. Basically, he summons Desolate Dragon in attack mode to intercept, well, Boogeyman Fuego's attack. And basically, it turns out their attacks are about the same. So this works. For now. Basically, Izuku basically plops down the Pot of Greed, allowing him to draw 2 cards, and out of those 2 cards, he plops down the spell Game of Life and Death. Well, actually, just the Game of Life. Because the Game of Life and Game of Death are actually 2 different cards in this. And then there is a card that you get if you fuse the 2 cards together, which is called the Game of Life and Death. But for now, Izuku's just plopping down the Game of Life. And basically what it does is basically, no prep needed, just whatever monster out of his deck that he wants to summon, he can summon automatically without any prep. And so, Champion Dragon, Crystal Dragon, boom! Right there. In attack mode. Along with Boogeyman Fuego. And basically he just decides, tune up Boogeyman Fuego with Champion Dragon, Crystal Dragon. Basically tuning up the 2 of those. And basically, the monster he gets is Draconic Chidori Crystal Dragon. And basically, the moment Sinestro sees Draconic Chidori Crystal Dragon, he's like, his goose is fucking cooked. Because this thing has, one of its effects is that it can attack the moment it is basically put down on the field. That is, if any of the monsters on the other side of the field have an attack point or a defense point lower than it. Defense points, attack points lower than it. Or there are just no monsters at all. And Sinestro's basically, his goose is cooked. Because, automatic attack. Boom. And Sinestro is just like, no. And just gets reabsorbed into the yellow ring and then just sent back. Because, yeah. Champion Dragon, Draconic Chidori, Crystal Dragon. Yeah. the third duel, basically, Izuku's coming back, looking like he's supreme in the food chain. And Morgana just like greets the dude with a hug. Because apparently she's up next to fight the guy who was in the picture with the reincarnation of Iris, who apparently has Exodia, the forbidden one. But this guy doesn't. His friend, the reincarnation, does. Well, descendant, not reincarnation, descendant. And that person being Light Yagami. And he has the same deck as basically L. Basically, L tells her this from spying on Light. He's basically able to tell that they have the same deck as each other. So yeah, basically, as long as they share their own secrets of their decks, like, Morgana should know what to expect. And that's basically what they did. So now Morgana knows every card that is in Light's deck. Except for Obelisk the Tormentor, because that's the one card that isn't in Light's deck. Obelisk the Tormentor. And so, the duel with Morgana and her, well, Vampiric Warrior deck, and Light with his very own mystery deck. Basically, you know, one of the little tips given to Morgana by L was basically feed into Light's ego like none other, and he will have him in the palm of your hands. This man has an ego the size of God knows what. So, Morgana takes us into mind while dueling with this guy. They're like, let's duel. And so, she just decides for the first few turns, or however many turns, she'll let him cook. And so, basically let's start off the duel with something mighty shiny. I'm deciding to lead off with the monster Crucifix O'Neill in attack mode, and this face down card. And then I end my turn. And basically knowing if, this dude just summoned Crucifix O'Neill, and then he just drops a face down and then ends it, that's basically probably going that Morgana probably knows, since looking at basic L's deck, and theirs are supposed to be the exact same, that what Light is probably going to do next. And what that face down probably is. So basically, L did give Morgana one other alternative to win. Give Light one good turn to cook. And if he fails miserably, destroy his ass. And well, she gave him one good turn. And since he just sit that thing down in face down position, yeah, she's gonna frickin' destroy his ass. By basically, she sends out two monsters in attack position. Grimgar the Guardian and Finera the Cat Fiend. And then a third monster in a different position. Pastel the Guardian Angel. And then two face down cards. And then basically Light's basically like just like self-glazing himself up because he's just like, oh yeah, you really think you're good? Oh, I can reveal my face down card anytime. And so I will. And he reveals that it is the trap card Death and Taxes. And basically, that causes, well, everyone except for Pastel, the Guardian Angel, to be destroyed. All the monsters except for Pastel to be destroyed. And so basically, Morgana just decides to smirk and then, up one of her face downs. And turns out that face down, well, it was previously face down, this card is actually the Game of Death. And Light is just looking shook, because he's like, fuck. No. She cannot draw the Game of Death before me. Because, basically the Game of Death is the perfect way to counteract Death and Taxes. They're both trap cards, and they counteract each other. Well, actually, the Game of Death is a spell card, and Death and Taxes is a trap card, but they still do counteract each other. By basically having the Game of Death, neutralize Death and Taxes. The effect of Death and Taxes. And then she reveals her other face down to be Enarg the Inspirer. And basically, seeing as, well, doesn't have much to defend himself with, Enarg the Inspirer, attack him directly. Basically, and Light is just feeling the pressure. He's just like, he does not like being cooked like this. And he's just like, it's L, isn't it? You're on the same team with him. He's telling you all about me. And basically, this is exactly what Morgana wanted. Because now, what she can basically do is tribute both of her monsters in order to, well, basically, do a tribute summon like no other to get her ace out here. giant vampiric skeletal warrior in attack mode. And you see, if this beefy boy is summoned by basically tributing basically less than 3 monsters, it will automatically attack. With twice as much regular attack than, it's usual. So yeah, Light's Goose is cooked. Defeat. And Morgana's just like, and that's, people, is how you act like a boss and back it up. And so now, who's ready for the next match? It's Ash and... well, who's this guy? Oh yes, it seems that I was born in it, molded by it. What the... who is this kid? I hear from the spirit of Ra's al Ghul himself. You are the descendant of the Pharaoh of the Light, Ashmun. Well then, allow me to break you just like I broke the bat. And Ash will just be like, oh my god. Well, shit. Basically, they're just showing their names. Ash Ketchum and Bane. Ash with his Pocket Monster deck, and Bane with his Arkham City deck. Yeah, basically making a reference to the game Arkham City. Ash isn't really in a hurry. Seems rather depressed, actually. And so Bane takes his first turn. You see, your negligence to take the first turn, it will be your downfall. Now, my Arkham City Dark Goblin come out to play in attack mode. And then I'll place 2 cards face down on either side of him. And basically, Ash just rolls his eyes at this. And basically just sends out there, like, basically a spell card, and it's like, this spell card. Spell card Double Battle. Basically allows him to summon 2 monsters. Like, automatically to the field, in whatever position he wants. And basically it's like, I summon these 2 monsters. Pocket Monster Bulbasaur and Pocket Monster Squirtle. To the field. And due to a certain other rule of the spell double battle, they will attack both at the same time. And since they are in attack position, attack that dark golem. Or goblin thing, whatever. And basically, Bane was going to try to do something, but since they're both attacking, yeah, that goblin ain't gonna do shit. And then Bane's just like, you must forgive my spontaneity. Well then, I guess you might be wondering. Well, I place a card down. Monster reborn. Boom, just like brings back the goblin. And he's just like, now my goblin's effect will disarm your spell so that your monsters can no longer coordinate your attack. Basically destroying the spell. And Ash just being like, dude, you are so stupid. Because due to this, I can basically just now tribute again. Tribute them for a good old friend of mine, Pocket Monster Charizard. Basically, Bane's just like, oh, very well. Then, I draw Pot of Greed. And Bane just gets 2 cards because of Pot of Greed. And Naruto's just like, Ash is just like, where those 2 cards are, because of the expression he's making, what little I can make of it. It can't be, those 2 can't be good. There is one way I can solve this situation. And that's with this. Spell card. Tribune of Attack Points. Basically, instead of 2 monsters attacking now, you have 3 monsters attacking. And since it isn't just 2, it will not only just destroy a monster, but it will also destroy your life points. Basically, Bane just stops that right in its tracks by activating. I activate the spell card, City Streets. And basically, with this little doohickey, he is able to, well, tribute summon his little Dark Goblin for something a little bit more beefy. I summon forth the Bane of Existence. Yes, that's literally what the monster's called. And basically, a little funny thing about the Bane of Existence, basically it attacks the moment it is summoned. And therefore, basically, it heads straight for all of the above, destroying all of them. And then Ash just gets out another card. Sets it as a face down. And it's basically just like sits down face down. Ash basically sitting down face down, along with basically another face down. He just sits down 2 face downs. And the moment the Bane of Existence or whatever, goes to attack one of them, it's revealed to be a mere card known as Dexter. What Dexter does is basically allow him to draw forth whatever card he wants out of all of his deck. No restrictions. And so basically just summons in attack mode his pocket monster Pikachu. And then he basically raises up his other face down. And that other face down being the spell card Pocket Monster Surfboard. And basically this is actually an equip type spell card. Basically equipping this to Pikachu, making it now basically boosting it by like double the attack and double the defense of not only itself, but even the Bane of all existence. Basically double both of their attack and defense on top of each other. Just for that one monster. Is how powerful Surfing Pikachu is. Yes, that's what happens. It becomes Pocket Monster Surfing Pikachu. And that's how powerful it is. And guess what? Anytime basically Surfing Pikachu is summoned and there is no other monster on, well, the same side of the field as it can attack automatically. And regardless of what position any sort of monster it attacks is in, like even if it's in defense position, life points will still be taken down. It basically breaks through that law. So yeah, Bane is taking a bitch punch from that. Basically, Pika! Yeah, so Bane's monster is basically destroyed, and his life points have basically just been bitched. So basically he brings up one freaking It's not a spell card, it's actually a trap card called Ra's al Ghul's Legacy. Actually, not Legacy, it was Destiny. The line was Ra's al Ghul's Destiny. The trap card's called Ra's al Ghul's Destiny. But instead of Ra's al Ghul, it's just ghouls. So just Ghul's Destiny. Or a Ghul's Destiny. Basically, the name of the trap card is A Ghul's Destiny. And basically, Surfing Pikachu had been regular Pikachu, that would have been bad for it. But since, it has an equip, spell card onto it, that will basically take the damage, and then, it can just go back to regular Pikachu. That's something that Bane didn't plan for. Ash to have contingencies in the smallest and slightest of ways. Seeing as, Bane has no Pokemon out. I mean, not Pokemon. No, freaking monsters out. Pikachu just gets to be able to attack again. And, ain't that just something? Actually, this is the first 4 duels. I think, since with some of my old what ifs and my other channel, I used to only do 4 parts. I think doing 4 duels in this part will be acceptable. I wanted to do 10, but good God, it's over an hour. So, anyways, stay tuned, because the first half of the qualifying rounds is a total of, freaking a shit ton of matches, because total of 30 people, and then a lightning round match with competitor number 31, 32, and 33. I mean, actually 29 people. Basically compares 30, 31, and 32 being in a lightning round match, which is the last one of the first half of the qualifier. There's actually 2 lightning round matches. One at the end of the first half, and one at the end of the second half. So yeah, I just did the first 4. So we do know who advances. For now. We know that Naruto, Izuku, Morgana, and Ash have all advanced. They will all be in a sort of quarterfinal stage or stages. So basically, they will be in the quarterfinals. Because they just, went through the qualification. So then would be the quarterfinals, and then would be semifinals, then finals. I believe that's how tournaments go. So yes, deuces.